Luke here. So, this week on Game of Thrones, we finally got to see something on the show that has been seriously lacking since Season 1, and also the most impressive javelin toss since Revenge of the Nerds. Let's break it down. So, here it is, the moment we've all been waiting for. Someone finally is wearing a hat north of the Wall. Good on you, Gendry. To be fair, it's done to show that he's a southern wussy, but progress is progress. Tormund waxes philosophically for a bit, and then, god damn it, did he take his hat off? This is worse than the burning of Shireen. What a disappointment. Something else I was wondering when they were going to address, Jon offers to give Longclaw, the Mormont family Valyrian steel sword, back to Jorah. Jorah says it belongs to House Snow now, and tells Jon to find a nice girl and settle down. Down south in Winterfell, Sansa and Arya reminisce about Ned supporting Arya's warrior tendencies. Then Arya shows the letter to Sansa and accuses her of killing their father, playing right into Littlefinger's little-fingered hand. It's interesting that after 6 seasons of us being told to root for Arya the Invincible, we're now forced to ask the question, who's a more dangerous psychopath than Arya? The answer, of course, is no one. Back to our ranging party, and the Hound and Tormund have a conversation where we learn several important facts. The Hound hates gingers, Tormund wants to grow the biggest babies in the world with Brienne, and that the word dick is a slang term for penis in some parts of Westeros. Maybe that explains why Bronn thought Dickon's name was so funny. I don't recall anyone in the show or the books using that term up until this point, but I could be wrong. If so, leave a comment along with the page number or timestamp. I'll include it in next week's video. This is super important, you guys. Beric and Jon talk about resurrection a bit, trying to get some answers. They decide that they've just been kept alive to protect as many people as they can. Not a super satisfying explanation, but I guess it'll do for now. Meanwhile, on Dragonstone, Tyrion and Dany talk about heroes and how they're always doing stupid things. There's some more breaking the wheel talk, whatever that will mean, and then Tyrion starts talking about what succession will look like. We find out he knows about Dany's alleged infertility and suggests they could adopt a voting system like the Night's Watch or a Kingsmoot like the Ironborn sometimes do. Dany says she'd rather worry about becoming queen first and then worry about what happens after she's dead. She also throws the loss of houses Martell and Tyrell in Tyrion's face again. Geez, it was just the death of several thousand allies. Let it go already. Back to the top of the map, the gang spots an Imperial Walker, and it's flame on for their first undead battle. The Hound gets too scared of the giant flaming undead polar bear like a big baby, and is saved by Thoros, who gets his guts rearranged and lives? Well, if anyone has anything to say to the drunken Red Priest, now's the time. At Winterfell, Sansa confides in Littlefinger because she hates and distrusts him so much, and he suggests that she get Brienne to intervene. Not sure what exactly he's suggesting that Brienne do, but we don't get to find out anyway, so who cares? Back in the true north, Jorah takes my advice and talks up Thoros a bit and commends him for being scary to the Ironborn. Thoros doesn't even remember it. Then they find the army of the dead, or at least a small part of it. After luring the scouting party over with a little campfire, they ambush the group, and Jon kills a White Walker, which causes all but one of the minions to collapse. Well, that worked out nicely. We didn't see any corpses return to their natural state the first time Jon killed a White Walker, but maybe that guy didn't have any minions or something. Anyway, we now know that if you kill a White Walker, whichever undead thralls they were responsible for also re-die. They capture the conveniently still alive last minion, and then realize that the entire army is right behind them. They tell Gendry to run back to the wall, but make him leave his hammer behind. I thought him leaving his hammer behind was going to be a bigger deal and factor into how the rest of the story played out, but didn't really make a difference. The heroes run out onto a frozen lake and reach the island in the middle, just as the ice collapses under the shambling hordes, which must actually weigh less per capita than our heroes do, since they don't have much flesh and aren't wearing heavy furs? Maybe it was just a lucky timing thing. We see that Gendry also has the teleporting ability, or maybe they weren't that far from the wall, or maybe they were in the middle of that lake for a few days. But he gets back and collapses a few dozen yards away from the wall. Fortunately, the Night's Watch was watching, and they let him in and get a raven off to Daenerys. To no one's surprise, Thoros wakes up dead. They burn his body and discover that the Night King has put in a personal appearance. Apparently, he doesn't have any freezing powers, so he just has to wait for nature to freeze the lake the old-fashioned way so that we can get a battle. Down south, Sansa is invited to King's Landing and sends Brienne in her place. So whatever Littlefinger thought Brienne was going to do, she won't be able to do it. Brienne the Beauty doesn't think Sansa will be safe without her, but follows orders and is off to see Jaime. Back at Dragonstone, Dany has received the world's fastest raven from the wall and wants to ignore her hand and Dragon Ex Machina all of her heroes. You see, she sent a lot of her valuable units on a mission they were underleveled for, and they got zerged by the opposing team, so she has to call in a tactical nuke. And thus, all 3 dragons fly north. The Hound gets bored and decides to remind the army around them that instead of just standing there, they could be attacking. The scene is set up in such a way that it looks like the individual wights are deciding whether or not to attack. I thought they were mindless, but maybe not? Who knows? During the battle, the Hound saves Tormund, who I thought would be another main character casualty, but we get to further their bromance instead. All the red shirts they brought with them are dead at this point, so there's only named characters left on the chopping block. They all exchange looks as if they know their cannon fodder has run out, when Jon sees that the scaly eagles are coming. Things are going well until the Night King, master of track and field, opts to javelin poor Viserion to death. This was pretty brutal to watch, but I spent most of the time trying to figure out which dragon it was. They're a lot tougher to tell apart now that they're all growed up, and designed the same. As the Night King grabs another icicle, Jon says he'll stay behind and kill some more minions for tax purposes, while Dany and the others escape. Jon goes for a little swim just to clear his head, and pops back up as the undead army is leaving. He's about to try and kill them all by himself when who should arrive? Benjen! Hooray! He gives Jon a way out and then stays behind to be torn apart, also presumably for tax purposes. At the wall, Dany doesn't want to leave without Jon, though she has no reason to think he might still be alive, but of course he is. Aboard her ship, she sees his scars and reminds herself to ask about that later. Back at Winterfell, Sansa sneaks into Arya's room and finds her bag of faces. Okay, you? Like a true psychopath, Arya is standing behind her and brings up her training in Bravos, wants to play a little game. Sansa suspects she may not enjoy the game and refuses, so Arya threatens to rip her face off and wear it around so that she could wear pretty dresses too. I'm not sure what the writers are driving at with this plotline. Arya is clearly in the wrong here, like 100%. Is there anyone in the audience cheering for Arya as she has her Ramsay moments? Back on the boat, Dany waits by Jon's bedside. He wakes up and immediately apologizes, a huge turn-on for Daenerys, who is used to her men never admitting when they're wrong. And then we all get blue balls as the long-awaited knee bending is only metaphorical since Jon is too weak to even stand. Talk about a letdown. In the final moments of the show, we watch the undead dragging a dragon out of the lake and get distracted wondering where they got the chains and also how they got them around the dragon's head when he was under the water. Did they just walk down there like Pirates of the Caribbean style? The Night King rolls up like a pimp and blue-eyes that flying lizard. Our heroes are in for it now. Whew. That was a long episode. Be sure to join us next week for the final episode of Season 7, and then, a little while after that, a wrap-up video for the entire season. Give me a thumbs up, like, subscribe. You know what to do.